Welcome. It's time for another interview with the commission candidates in Athens, Georgia. This time, I'm talking with the candidates in District 7. John Culpepper is stepping down. So that leaves an opening for either lawyer Ed Tolley or housing advocate Bennie Coleman. District 7 is centered around Timothy Road, but it also includes the Beechwood Hills neighborhood off Alps. Okay, now let's meet Ed Tolley. Thanks for coming on my show, Ed.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So we're in your office right now, where you've been practicing law for 50 years, is that right?
That's correct, this year.
Okay, so I assume you've enjoyed it if you've stayed this long.
Well, either that or the creditors are happy for me to be here. Yeah, I do enjoy practicing law. I've done it a long time, and I like the challenges and the rewards.
Okay, what type of law do you practice?
Well, this is a litigation firm. So what that means in plain terms is if you've got something that's probably going to end up in a courtroom, that's what we do. I do civil and criminal work. We do a lot of business litigation. I've done some rather notorious criminal cases, both state and federal. And the firm has divisions. We have a real estate division. We have a lawyer that does trust and estates. So we kind of are a general practice firm, but our main emphasis on cases that are to be litigated.
What's your most notorious case?
Probably the one up here on the wall, which was the murder of a federal judge by Walter Leroy Moody. It's only been 2 federal judges assassinated in the history of the country, and I was appointed to represent him in an assassination, which are kind of on everybody's mind now, right?
The world we're living in these days, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's been the world we lived in. You go all the way back to McKinley when he was president of the United States. He got shot at a campaign event. And so, unfortunately, these things historically repeat themselves. Anyway, it was quite an experience. I can't say that I enjoyed it, but I did enjoy the work.
Cool. So why do you want to be an Athens-Clarke County Commissioner? Well,
I've lived here for most of that 50 years that we're talking about. I did practice law in Atlanta also. And I lived in Tanglewood for 38 years, which is my district. I know all my neighbors and up and down the road. And I feel like the community's been really good to me, and I'd like to see if I can help.
Now to Bennie Coleman. Thanks for coming on my show, Bennie.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And so let's start by getting to know you a little better. So you're retired now, but what did you do for a living, and how long have you lived in Athens?
I lived in Athens all my life, which would be 70 plus years. I've done things from picking up trash in the street up to being owner of a dental lab technology business. I invent things. I help senior citizens. I used to do 4 nursing home Bible study on Sunday, each Sunday. And I'm in love with people and helping other unfortunate people.
So you said you used to invent things?
Oh, yeah.
What have you invented?
I helped the dental lab technology field. I invented a lot of things, but I didn't get paid for it. They didn't pay me, but the other person got it. They got my information, and I showed them how to use it, but they got the patent and created stuff, yeah. Yeah, it's just like that. But I didn't let that stop me because it's so much in my head I can do while I'm still alive. So I don't even dwell on that anymore. I do not dwell on that, yeah.
Okay, so why do you want to be an Athens-Clarke County Commissioner?
Being rejected. And when you present your ideas to the mayor and commission and they accept it from your hand and then throw it in the trash can and then they avoid you for months and months and years, and then when you come back to them and ask them questions about it, act like they didn't know nothing about it, that kind of make me a little upset.
Yeah, so I think you're talking about you had a proposal on manufactured homes?
Yes.
Would you mind just briefly sharing what that proposal was all about?
Well, so I thought about the cheapest and more effective way is manufactured homes.
So you want to promote home ownership?
Definitely home ownership, not housing, not warehousing. Home ownership where you have equity in something tangible. You have a place where kids can come out themselves. You can sit on your own chair in the front yard. You can really dream the American dream, but when you're a house, you don't have American dream to dream, because you're like in a cube or in a box, and you listen to everybody else's problems, and you're dealing with everybody else's problems. You don't have time to blossom out like home ownership. And so that's why I came up with that idea. And majority of people said low-income people cannot afford home ownership. Oh, that's very wrong. It's what you do with your money. From a person making like $7.50 up to $15 an hour can afford to own a manufactured home if the city helped them with the land and the sewer hookup. And they can pay the city back just like they're paying a regular contractor back, but they'll own it after 20 years. They can walk off with their own property. And that's why I constantly, you'll see me promoting my idea about 100 manufactured homes. I call it the whole village. And the reason why I call it the whole village, it's not just a black thing. It's the whole village. If you look at it, the whole village pays taxes. And a lot of people are tired of paying their taxes on something what we destroy. Low-income people, unfortunate people, or wealthy people destroy it. But when you give them something to live for, just like buying a car, you wash your brand new car, you put oil, you put gas, and this is a home, you do the same thing. You do your repair, you upkeep, and you have an investment that you can use down the line. And one individual said that, why are you wanting not to have a generational wealth? I said, majority of people in Athens-Clarke County don't worry about generational wealth. They worry about right then and there a place to stay. And they can live in it as long as they can, and they can pass it on to their family members if they want to, but they cannot allow it to be taken by investors to increase the value of it, to make it impossible for other people to come in and do the same thing that they were afforded with.
Yeah, I mean, that's the case for most of like the sort of the larger houses we have around here. They're way too expensive for most people to afford. But you're saying like the manufactured homes, if they're like built off-site, that would be a lot cheaper to build. Yes,
we're just looking for grass, a parking area, a little small area to live in, and that's I think that's a great idea for people to really have their own.
So currently, in my understanding, manufactured homes are illegal in some residential zones in Athens.
If you go downtown at the code office, they got paperwork to fill out for manufactured home. It has always been there. But the rules and the ordinance in the zone trying to prevent it because they are dealing with appearance. They don't worry about what a person needs to survive. They're worried about how this grass look green here, that tree here, that house got this color, this and that. When you're on a low income fix, you cannot afford that type of lifestyle.
Not only do you want to allow manufactured homes, you want the local government to like purchase them and purchase the land and sell them to low-income people.
Right. The reason why that is, if the city used their money, they won't be charged taxes. Taxes can add up when you have like 10 million plus. You're going to take a big percentage of that when a contractor used that. You're going to pay a big percentage of that back in taxes. So instead of using that tax money that way, you can use that tax money on another manufactured home. And it is set up where if the city say you have to be a nonprofit organization and that's the only way you can build it, that's fine. Let us have that, we can get a nonprofit organization. And then the people after 20 years, once they pay for their homes, during that 20 years, each month, the amount of money you pay in will be able to afford to put in a new home. It keep growing, it keep protecting the community. It stays in that community, make it grow on and on.
So like a revolving loan fund.
It is, but we're maintaining ourselves.
Yeah.
And in that way, everybody in the community has a say so. You can't be parking a car here. You can't play loud music. You can't use drugs here. You can't have dogs here because it's their home too. It's the whole community home. So that's why I'm doing the manufactured home. And then once you're able to get out from that area and you can afford a new home, you got the experience to get a better home, a bigger home, in a different location you want to. Then another group of person can come in, our family, and take up where you left at and do the same thing you have done to get out of the situation.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So what would be your other top priorities for your first term in office?
Transparency, unification. That's it. Coming together as one city. Being transparent. If you go through the website now, that thing is hard to go through.
Yeah,
They haven't made no effort to change that.
Are you saying that they're doing that on purpose?
They are doing that on purpose. They really are. If you look at the charter going by today's, you got ACC, ACCG, you got all these different names and stuff. That's the reason behind that. It's to confuse people. We're supposed to be one united, unified city, not separating us up and then back and forth. If they get rid of all that and have one title if they want to, we'll get along better.
I'm not sure they're doing it on purpose to confuse people.
that's your belief, you know.
Yeah. I think they just are doing it badly.
Are they lazy?
I think.
Are they confused? What are they? You can't come up with an answer.
I think the website's just bad, you know. It's just badly done. But anyway. Back to Ed. What would be your top priorities in office?
To understand the job and to understand, to look at every problem that comes our way and try to make the best decision possible. And I've already heard from people, they have their concerns. Everybody has their issue. So I've heard from people that are interested in the roads. I've heard from people that are interested in the greenway. I've heard from people that are interested in bike lanes. And then I've heard from people that saying the county commission is spending too much money on this. They should spend it on that. And so it's just going to be a process of issue analysis and then trying to make the best decisions that I can.
Yeah, but I looked at your website. I'm sure you have a platform in different areas of interest that you care about.
The platform is the core responsibilities of a county commission, which is public safety, health and welfare, roads and bridges. Those are the core missions of a county commission. A lot of the things that people would like to see your county commission do are really preempted by state law. We kind of got into that a little bit last night at the forum, that there are just certain things that the commission would like to do, but really the county commission can, pass an ordinance that maybe prohibits handguns, for example, but it won't do any good because it's not going to be effective. Because that's preempted by state law. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, in my view, the commission needs to stay in its legal lane and do those things which the county expects us to do, which are the core functions of a county commission.
Are there any other issues that you'd like to talk about or like to share?
Well, I've heard a lot about affordable housing, that we've talked about that at every forum I've been to. It's an elusive concept because who knows what affordable is. To you might be one thing, to me it might be something else. I mean, the real issue is, I've looked at it from the other direction. The real issue is that people can't afford to get the loans necessary to buy what's in the market right now. So there have been programs by the big banks to make lending and funding more available to people who have incomes that are smaller than others. They haven't been particularly successful. I know I told one forum that when I got out of the Army, I had the GI Bill. So I was able to get a home loan and get my first house by using the GI Bill, which had a considerably lower interest rate. And there are just more things that need to be done to help people. I don't know that we can build our way out of this problem, if you understand what I mean. It just, because housing's too expensive, and it's too expensive to build one.
So what would you do?
Well, I would like to see us, and there was some talk about this last night, I would like to see us initiate programs that will help people qualify for loans, but that's going to require the participation of the big lenders. Easier said than done is another way to say it.
Another option is to sort of allow people to build different things like the accessory dwelling units or, townhomes, cottage courts, duplexes, stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that?
I built some duplexes myself back in the day. You could build them for $50,000 or $60,000, and Today, it would cost you $150,000, $200,000 to build that same duplex. And then does that really help? Because then you got to rent it for enough money to pay for the project. And it's just not practical right now with the interest rates what they are and the cost of building materials. There's been a lot of talk about auxiliary housing. I had once lived in a apartment when I was a college student that was in a neighborhood, and I'm certainly not opposed to the concept, but I think what you're going to find is that people that live in established residential communities, particularly in District 7, are not going to be real crazy about the idea of auxiliary housing. On the other hand, if that's workable in some parts of the community, and if that's what the district wants, then that's a different question. And that may be up to other commissioners to speak for their district. But I think you just can't go in and start mandating that people will build auxiliary units.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely not talking about mandating. It's
no.
it would be allowing.
Yeah,
because right
allowing.
now it's not allowed.
That's right, and neither are prefabs. Prefabs today are not what they were, 25 years ago. They're not trailers. They're pre-built homes, and those are less expensive, or they used to be, but I don't know today. I've seen some prefab homes that are certainly more expensive than my first home ever was. It's interesting. I mean, the cost of materials today is crazy.
Yeah, your opponent is a big fan of the prefabs.
Yes, he is, and he and I've talked about that. I don't think his ideas, and he and I are friends. I mean, I don't think his ideas were bad ideas. I just question whether some of them are workable.
So if you could grade the current commission A through F, what grade would you give them over the past 4 years and why?
Oh, I'm not going to grade them A through F. I think, public service demands a lot of a person, and it demands a lot of the people who dedicated their time to it. I've been in enough of those meetings to understand people are doing the best they can. Do I agree with everything they've done? No. Do I disagree with everything they've done? No. I think that this county, I've said this about 10 times now, there's a reason why people want to live in Clarke County, and that's because it's a great place to live. And I think our government has done a good job. There's always things we can do better, but I'm certainly not going to be critical of them.
Okay, so you think they've generally done a good job?
I think so, actually. There are things that I have, like everybody else, I'd like to see them not do, but...
what are some of those things?
Well, the main thing that I'm concerned about is I don't really like this term, but getting out over your skis, you just can't keep spending money that you don't have. I'm an old timer, so I'm from the philosophy that I can't spend money I don't have. And I'm not sure that you can just spend your way to where you want to be. I think you have to be more fiscally conservative than that.
What would be an example of that?
Well, I think down here at the end of Washington Street, where we're doing so much in the way of construction. We've got the beautiful arena down there now. The arena's not paid for. There's still a lot of money owed on that, and now they're already talking about expanding that project. I saw where Dexter Fisher had raised that issue in a commission meeting that, whoa, wait a minute, we got to pay for this before we do that. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying that those projects aren't worthy and shouldn't be done. But we have to be careful because it's not our money; it's the public's money.
What's your feeling on taxes? Some people have.
I don't want to pay anymore.
Given some of these sort of infrastructure deficits that we have, do you think it's possible to cut taxes in real terms? Like I was talking to Sander Mason from District 5, and one of his big goals is to actually, not just cut the millage rate, but to cut the actual amount that people pay in taxes, which I'm not sure is possible. But what's your take on that?
Property taxes are a necessary evil. And currently, under state law, the tax commissioner's responsibility is to tax property at fair market value. If you go to the tax commissioner's office, he's got a sign up that says something along the lines of, I don't set the property tax rate. I just collect it, and that's right, because state law mandates how counties are supposed to appropriate property taxes. Is it a worthy goal that you could reduce property taxes? Yes, I think it's a worthy goal, but at the same time, the fair market value by law is what drives the property tax. As far as millage rates are concerned, that was a big issue when I was on the school board. Everybody politically doesn't want to be at the top of the millage rate because that goes on your tax bill. But on the other hand, everybody wants a good school. I remember, just anecdotally, I used to, when people would come in and complain about the millage rate, I'd say, how many people in the audience would like to have a park near their house? And everybody would raise their hand. And then I would say, how many people are willing to have their taxes raised in order to build that park? I'd get 2 hands, So it's that kind of thing. I think we all complain about taxes. I certainly don't want to pay any more than I have to, but I pay a lot of tax. But on the other hand, the reward is a livable, beautiful community, and that's the trade-off. How much pain are you willing to accept in order to have this beautiful place that we live in? And I think Athens is beautiful. I think it's a great place to live. That's why everybody's trying to live here.
I bet Bennie won't be shy about grading the commission. Let's see what he says.
Okay, so if you could grade the commission, A through F, just like in school, what grade would you give them for the past 4 years and why?
Give them a grade, it's going to be very low, probably D+. D+, because they put in too much personal feeling into that decision. Now, when I used to turn personal feelings ill, they always want something where they want it. It's not the individual who needing it to better the way they want. Example, I mentioned it earlier. Say if I was a contractor come in and develop a housing unit like I want to develop, they want to tell me where to put my trees, my walkway, my water source. They want to tell me everything about it, which makes the price of it go so high, outrageous, I'm not able to do it. When you have a low-income area that needs help, you need to use common sense. These people cannot afford to waste their money on all these fancy trees, all these fancy embankment, all these fancy turnaround, They need something now they can satisfy themselves as a family. Yeah.
So the local government has a bunch of these little committees and commissions. Have you ever been on one of those boards?
They didn't want me to. I was asked.
Or did you apply?
Mike Hamlet had appointed me on some. Ovita tried to appoint me. They never contacted me. Never would contact me. So what I do, I show up unannounced. I pop in. And that was the wrong thing to do for me to pop in.
Which one did you pop into?
I popped in on one of the staff meetings.
Oh.
And they asked my opinion. And I gave them my opinion. And they were blown out, shocked what I said, because I came to them honestly. You know what I mean? I came to them I'm not looking at all these different colors. That doesn't affect me. I'm just looking for a place for people to live.
What other experience do you have that qualifies you for the position?
The most important experience, honesty, love, life experience, trust, willing to learn, willing to be wrong. Get that now. Willing to be called out. Get that. Willing to be pushed off the commission if I'm elected as District 7 to throw me out of office. Willing to admit when I'm wrong. Willing to stand up for what is right. Willing to speak out. Be unbridled, long as I'm following within the law set before me.
Now to Ed about his experience.
As you know, I've done some other government things that have helped me get ready perhaps to serve in this capacity. I was president of the school board. I participated in a very difficult case for them as well. Seems like 100 years ago.
When was that?
Probably my best recollection is 1990. I think I was on the school board like 88 through 91 or 2, and I was president for 2 or 3 years. And when I was president was when the most difficult things had to be done.
What were those?
Well, we unfortunately had a theft of funds by our superintendent and his 2 top deputies. And so with the cooperation of Harry Gordon, who was the district attorney at that time, we initiated prosecutions, and they were prosecuted. We recovered some of the money by suing the bond company. So you can imagine when it's your superintendent of schools and his 2 top deputies, it really rocked the foundation of the community. But we got through it, and eventually, before I left, we were able to balance the budget with the help of some really good people. I don't think our community understands how dedicated our teachers and principals and vice principals are here in the community.
Have you been involved directly with the local government before, like on one of those boards, authorities, or commissions?
I have actually represented county commissions before. One was the Forsyth County Commission in their heyday of rapid growth, and I also represented the Newton County Commission as their litigation counsel. So I've worked 4 commissions before. Here in Clarke County, I've typically appeared in front of the commission to do various cases involving various legal issues. So I've certainly spent a lot of time in front of the county commission. I think the last case that I did for the Athens-Clarke County Commission was a special appointment to support the commission's decision to remove the Confederate Memorial and move it to another part of the community. I did that case along with Greg Sowell, who was a lawyer here at that time. So that was, I think, my last formal engagement by the commission.
So why should voters choose you on May 19th?
Well, that'll be up to them. I think I can do the job. I think I've got the experience and both the legal and business training to try to be an effective commissioner. I'm not trying to set the world on fire. I just want to do a good job.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on my show.
Sure. It's good talking to you.
Returning to Bennie for the final question.
Why should voters choose you on May 19th?
I'm different. I'm not the typical campaigner. I'm a person, I was blessed with wisdom. Not necessarily the knowledge, book knowledge, wisdom to understand what needs to be done. I was blessed with that. And that's a blessing you cannot pay for with money. You cannot go to school for. That is something that is given to you by the Lord. And I want to use those blessings. I know what my benefit from that gonna be is from God. So that's why I don't worry about none of the other stuff. What I'm gonna get the accolades and all that. I even given my ideas to people to take it. Do whatever you want with it as long as people can get homes under that affordability-ness. That's all I'm looking for. Once you do all those things, that's my reward. That's my reward. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's just it. That's my reward.
I don't think it sounds crazy. Thanks so much for coming on my show.
That's it.
Yeah, unless there's something else you want to say.
This podcast probably should end here. Thank you for listening, and feel free to stop at any time. But I'm going to give Bennie the floor for another 6 minutes. He has some things he wants to say.
That's it.
Yeah, unless there's something else you want to say.
I need to really do more for my people as the black people and the low-income people. That is another reason I'm running for District 7. It's because my area is predominantly white, more well off. I can focus most on us more and still help the rest of the neighborhood to make sure they'll continue on getting what they are getting, what they need to get, and I can go and they can help me focus on to bring the others up to us, to our standard of living, so we all can live together. But if I was in a most predominantly black neighborhood, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would not be able to do it. because I have so much fighting against me. I would have so much fighting against me. But I have a great opportunity now because I have some backing. And if I go in an all-black neighborhood, I guess 60, 70% of people will go against me because they're used to living that lifestyle. They don't want to get out of that lifestyle. Do I think they'll say, you think you're better than I am? But in this area, I won't get that feeling. Not coming from them because I'm not them. So I have opportunity to do more for my people. So that put me in a position, if I win, I'm winning. If I lose, I'm still winning because I'm still helping and getting out my idea. You understand that part?
Yeah.
That's the way I am. And I'm out front. I'm a type of person out front. I don't believe in this nonsense. I don't believe in all this, what's going on now. I know God gave us all free will, but you get to a point, there has to be a stopping block there, a wall. So, whoa, you can't go no further now. You either go your left or your right, but you can't go forward. You know, and we need to do something about all of this not being able to read in school, living in the woods early in the morning time, going to school, better taking shower. Girls cannot go in the bathroom unless they be attacked by other girls. Adults taking advantage of the kids, cursing the teacher, fussing and fighting. We're wearing all kind of stuff we shouldn't be wearing on our body, putting more money on materialistic stuff, and other than education and the way of life, bringing us being better people. It's time for us to wake up and stop being a black slave master ourselves. We are running the field of being a black slave master. We are keeping our own selves in slavery, but by the way, we are not trying to forward ourselves in life. I'm here to show them a path to get on the right yellow brick road. Don't stay changed up by your own people. Why would you want to stay changed up by your own people when you just left slavery? That's stupid. We need to get out there and better ourselves. You weren't expecting this, were you? But we need to get out there and do better ourselves. We really do. We need to build things with our property instead of losing it because of drugs, not paying taxes, or walking off and leaving. You know how much profit been accumulated by investors from the black neighborhood? They get $15, $10, $12,000, $100,000, $1. They just get it. People that run off because they want drugs. They don't upkeep the property. They own it. And the majority of us that own property, we need to come together as one. To have different. Athens should be much better than what it is. Athens really should be much better. And yeah.
Well, we have the resources.
We do. And I proposed my proposal to the University of Georgia, to the president of the UGA. You know what he did? He sat on it for months. I had to keep on calling. And then when I gave up, said, no longer, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present it, then they're going to tell me, oh, you need to contact somebody else, the board of regents. Why didn't you tell me that when I first gave it to you? See, you said we're so professional, we're so right, we do things wrong. And what would I look like being a leader and seeing a black man who out in the street does not have a home, dressed in as red and black as a UGA color and can't sleep nowhere? Don't have food in the house, but he dressed up like UGA. And the girl's wearing all of, what do I look at as an adult male who got a family? I'm okay in that. That's sickening, man. That's sickening. Why you support somebody who don't want to help you in your community? They ask me, you have something against UJ? No, I don't have nothing against UJ. I love UJ. I worked with them for years. I really have. They done a lot for me. But when I put them before my people, when I know my people is the problem, spending their money wrongly just because of UJ, they can holler on the weekend, something wrong with that picture. So they need to think. We need to think. By me being in office, I can get a hold of one person, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe they don't want me to do that. Maybe people don't want me to get in office, but I'm gonna still try. I'm still trying. Maybe this interview will prevent me from getting in office. Maybe it push me in office. But I told you last time I met you, do your thing. Did I tell you that? Do what you have to do. As long as you being honest, I respect that.
Okay. Well, I respect you as well. Thanks for coming on my show.